Good afternoon, class. So, as we have started with this chapter 7, and we have already read about the two vulnerable groups, that is the children as well as the youth, and we have also learned the different kinds of programs which are initiated in order to control their vulnerability. So, today will be the last vulnerable group included in this chapter, that are the elderly people. So why are these elderly are vulnerable? We are going to read now. So in a number of countries, a senior citizen is a person in the age group 65 years and above. So the senior citizens age group is above 65 years. Okay. So however, in India, senior citizens constitute persons in the age group of 60 and above. So in our country, the age group, if it passes 60 years and above, it is considered as the senior citizens. Those people are considered as the senior citizens. So there has been a steady rise in the population of older persons in India since life expectancy, which was approximately 29 years in 1947, has increased to 69.3 years in 2009 to 2013 for females, and for the males it has been 65.8 years, okay, for the males. So do remember these 2 years, the age group, okay. So India is home to the second largest number of senior citizens in the world after China. The number of the elderly will account for nearly 9% of the population in 2016. The special features of the elderly population in India are, so what are the different features of these elderly people? So number one is the majority, that is 80% of them are in the rural areas, thus making services delivery a challenge. So since these 80% of the majority of the people, elderly people who are belonging to the rural areas, so different kinds of providing different services to those areas are quite challenging. Number two is feminization of the elderly population. So feminization is a factor of feminization of this elder population, since they have been the children or the child or the son or daughter of the elderly people, they sometime majority of them lives outside or don't stay with their family. So kind of this feminization of the elderly population becomes available. So number three is increase in the number of the old persons, that is persons above 80 persons. Those are called as the older old. So there is an increase in the rise of this age group. Okay, so above 80 years. A large percentage, that is 30% of the senior citizens, is below the poverty line. This is also a crucial factor. So the 30% of this population, of the whole senior citizen population, are included in the below poverty line. Now the elderly are a vulnerable group due to various reasons. Firstly, health is a major concern for many individuals at this age. The elderly are more vulnerable to diseases because of the decreased physiological reserves and defense mechanisms, because of this the different kinds of body immunity also, and also the different physiological reserves and defense systems, they day by day it decreases. So the different kinds of diseases also attack them in this age period. So besides illness, the aging process itself leads to certain disabilities such as low vision and blindness resulting from cataracts, deafness resulting from nerve impairment. So cataracts, deafness, blindness, low vision, this kind of impairments are common in this elderly period. Loss of mobility from arthritis and a general inability to take care for oneself. So this is also a crucial factor, that the elderly people, they generally don't have that bodily function to help themselves. So someone or something, some organization or someone should be taking care of these elderly people, otherwise they are unable to do the work. So secondly, in the family life cycle, for many this may be a period when they find themselves alone because the children are likely to have moved. So because the children, as I've told you, since the children moves from their family from in different work or in separate house, so these the problem arises for the elderly people at that time. So how they are going to stay, how they are going to look after themselves, so this kind of situations arises. The child or the children, they move away from the family either because of the marriage or to earn a living. So many may experience feeling of loneliness, these elderly people, isolation and a sense of being a burden on others. Many individuals find themselves financially dependent on the younger generation, which may add to their feeling of stress. Further, especially in metropolitan cities, there is a fragmentation of the traditional family network, and the traditional value system is also undergoing change. So certain features of city life like small family size, nuclear families, lack of free time to care for the aged, limited living space, high cost of living, long working hours, these are the several factors which put the stress or pressure in the elderly people. So and basically lead to reduced support within the immediate and extended family. Sometimes the concepts like privacy, space, independence, materialism, focus on self are also responsible for the inability to adequate care for the elderly. So since the adult people, those who are engaged in different kinds of work and other, so they the thing that happens that they try to settle themselves as because of the living or any other purposes. That's why there's a chance of staying lonely, and since they are staying away from their family, so it becomes tough for these elderly people to taking care of. Okay, so they are solely depend on themselves about this, taking care about themselves only. Okay, so thus many elderly persons are left to fend for themselves at a time which family support is most necessary for them. So aging has become a major social challenge, and it is necessary to provide for the economic and health needs of the elderly and to create a social milieu which is conducive and sensitive to emotional needs of the elderly. So this aging, because of this aging period, so there are several kinds of social challenging organizations which are necessary to provide this economic help or health related facilities to those elderly people, so that they can be taken care of. So the above so suppose like in many families, the elderly are well respected and continue to find fulfillment. So not in all families, but exceptions are always there. In some families, there are this kind of children or the other members who take care of their elderly people. So now one positive feature concerning the elderly population is that most 60 or more year old are economically active, presumably because they are engaged in sectors for which there are no specific age of retirement. So there is no age of retirement in some kind of industries in which they are working, or any kind of work which they are involved in. What is needed is to recognize the elderly as a human resource, and their rich experience and residual capacities be put to optimum use for the benefit of national development. So their ability to lead healthy and fruitful lives should be ensured by the government. The government adopted the national policy for the older persons in 1999. So there is a policy which is initiated or been created by the government in order to take care of these elderly persons. So the name of that or that scheme or whatever that organization or scheme is, the name is the National Policy for Older Person, and it is started in the year of 1999. Okay, so now we will go to the different kinds of programs which are being initiated by the government in order to take care of these elderly people. And now you can see there are some programs for the elderly. So the government or the non-governmental organizations, Panchayati Raj institutions, local bodies are implementing different types of programs for this elderly in India. Some of the programs operating in the country of the elderly are as follows. So number one is programs catering to the basic needs of older persons, particularly food, shelter and healthcare to the destitute elderly. So there are elderly groups in which this kind of programs, these catering programs are being offered in order to serve different kinds of foods, shelter as well as the healthcare. So number two is programs to build and strengthen the international generalization relationships, particularly between children, youth and older persons. So there are also several kinds of programs which are built to strengthen the intergeneration relationships between this kind of their children or youth and the older persons. So it is supposed kind of a counseling done to the elderly people as well as the children. Okay. So now number three is programs for encouraging active and productive aging. So there are also programs which are conducted to encourage these elderly group people to make them active or involved in different kinds of work. Number four is programs for providing institutional as well as non-institutional care services to older persons. So there are also some programs which provides institutional as well as non-institutional care and services to these older persons. Now number five is research, advocacy and awareness building programs in the field of aging. So in this field of aging there are also some kind of research being done, or advocacy or awareness building programs are also being initiated for these elderly people. And now number six is the old age homes to provide food, care, shelter. Old age home, you all know there are several governmental or non-governmental these old age homes which provides food, care and shelter to these elderly people. Now number seven is respite care homes and continuous care homes for older persons who lives in old age homes but are seriously ill requiring continuous nursing care and respite. So there is a particular group of these elderly people who lives in these this old age homes, and suppose they have become sick or several kinds of diseases has occurred to them. So there are also this particular program is initiated in order to give them that financial support or that healthcare support in order to get improve or to get rid of that diseases. There are also several programs like multi-service centers for older persons to provide daycare, education and entertainment opportunities, healthcare championships. These are also being provided with the help of these programs which are initiated. So the mobile Medicare units to provide medical care to the older persons living in rural and isolated and backward areas. So there are also several kinds of mobile Medicare units which provide this medical care to these older persons living in the rural areas, okay, and isolated and backward areas. Next is the daycare centers for Alzheimer's disease or dementia patients to provide specialized daycare. So this Alzheimer's disease or dementia, this is particularly when generally happens to these elderly people, the habit of the forgetting the work that has been done previously, or whatever they are doing their work, sometimes they forget that what they did or what happened previously. So this is what we call about the forgetting something. This is what we call about the Alzheimer's disease, and dementia is the same. So for these particular patients who are having this Alzheimer's disease or dementia, the separate kinds of these daycare centers are provided to them. Next is the helplines and counseling centers for the older person. So there are also some counseling centers or helplines which generally does the counseling part for these older persons. Next, the mental health care and specialized care for the older persons to provide mental health care intervention programs to the elderly. So mental health care has also been provided with the help of these several kinds of programs. Next is disability and hearing aids for the older person. Those who are having disability and hearing aids, for them also there are also several kinds of programs. Next is the physiotherapy clinics for older persons are also there. Awareness generation programs for older persons and caregivers like self-care, preventive health care, disease management, preparation of old age, healthy and productive aging, intergenerational bondings. These are also being done with the help of these awareness generation programs. Next is the training of caregivers to the older persons. So training for these caregivers who are involved in giving care to this specific old age group are being trained with the help of different programs. Now the sensitizing programs for children, particularly in schools and colleges, are also provided. National Old Age Pension Scheme, that is NOAPS, meant for old persons who are considered destitute, that is not giving any regular means of subsistence. Now if there is a governmental, if some older people, those were involved in the governmental organization, so they'll get their pension. But those who are not involved, so for that persons, this National Old Age Pension Scheme is also been applied for those people. Now these financial support for the family members are also being provided with the help of their pensions. Now beneficiaries should be above the age limit of 65 years, needs to provide proof of age and their destitute status. The state government can add to the amount from their own resources. So the state governments also add some amount for their on behalf. Okay. So these are the several schemes or programs which are initiated or which are prepared for the elderly group, those who are crossing their age limit of this above 60 and above. Okay. Now in this career choice, you may either work as in charge or manager of certain activities in an already functioning program or institution, or you may choose to initiate set up of an organization or programs for the youth, children or elderly. So for these particular three groups, elderly or youth or children, there are some programs or institutions you may involve yourself in this kind of programs. So whatever be the case, it will be a career for which you will be required to develop a broad knowledge base and multiple skills. So because in order to get yourself prepared for this kind of career, so first of all you need to have the proper knowledge and basic some multiple skills. So what you are going to which will help you for your career in this purpose. Okay, so as you can see, what kind of skills is running or working in an organization means interacting with the people in different roles and form different backgrounds. So the following are some groups of the people you are likely to interact with. So basically in this field, what you need is proper interaction with people, with the different age group people. Okay, so what you have to make them understand of different kinds of situations or different kinds of activities that you are going to be make them understand or you will be involved in your work. So the groups with whom you need to communicate or interact are the community. A program or institution for children will be successful if the community feels a sense of involvement and ownership with it. So if you are working in this line, so you have to basically work with the community, you have to interact with the community, you have to make them understand what these things are all about, participating management or implementation and pillars of the effective programs. You have to make them understand. Next group is the private sectors. So the private sector, financial institutions, companies or organizations have come in a big way to support innovative programs and institutions. They provide this financial help. So you have to make them also understand that what program or what activities you are going to be doing in your particular this program, and so that they can help you with the financial support. Next are the officials in the government. So you may need to interact with the government departments for various purposes, including fundings and fulfilling other legal requirements. So you have to interact with them also in order to fulfill this kind of activities. Next is the people within the organization. Like for smooth functioning of the organization, it is most important that the people, both beneficiaries and the personnel working therein, enjoy a harmonious relationship with each other. Cultivating cordial interpersonal relationships is a major factor in the success of the organization. So interpersonal relationship is the basic thing and the major factor in the success of any kinds of the organization which people are involved in. So these are the different groups with which you have to interact in order to start or in order to make yourself involved in this kind of activities. Okay. Now there are several kinds of universities or programs which will give you the training or which can give you the certificates in order to participate yourself or in order to work in different kinds of these NGOs or in different kinds of these organizations or programs. So the Indira Gandhi National Open University offers programs which may be of interest of you. These programs can be done along with studying for the regular degree courses. Some such courses are certificate program in NGO management. So the NGO management, for this purpose you need to have a certificate, or if you want to work in an NGO, so for that thing certificate programs of NGO management, this thing you should have, and you can get this thing from the Indira Gandhi National Open University. Okay. So the next is a diploma in youth development work. So these are also the certificates. These two basically, if you acquire, then you can work in this line. So there is a state open universities as well, which offers programs through a distance mode. It will be worthwhile to explore the websites of the IGNOU. You all know this university and the other state open universities for more details. So you can, if you want to get yourself involved in this kind of work, so you can get the details from the through the help of this internet, and you can search for the other state open universities for more details. So here the chapter 7 is ended, and you go through the whole chapter of these 3 different age groups, all the programs, and why they are vulnerable,